But now we do have to move on now to our next story, and that has to deal with something that John wants to talk about. So, John, I'm not going to introduce it. Why don't you introduce it for us? What's going on, man?
Okay, so a couple days ago, the chat blew up with the talk about this resolution that's going through Congress. It's HR 6666. Now,
horrible number.
If you don't know, yeah, I was just say, if you don't know, 3 sixes is the mark of the beast, but there's 4 sixes in this one, and 4 is commonly associated in Asian cultures with death. And as we know, COVID came from Asian countries, or originated in an Asian country. So Asian cultures, death, 4 sixes, it all ties together. And this is what the cabal of the Pelosi types want you to think as they eat babies underground in their Pizza Huts, is they want to usher in this era where they can go into your house and force you to get vaccinated, according to Dr. Rashid Buttar, not to be confused with Shahid Buttar, who is running against Nancy Pelosi, supports Shahid Buttar. But Rashid Buttar is an anti-vaxxer who's been propagating this thing that they can forcibly vaccinate you under the provisions of HR 666. They can remove your children from your home. They can drag your babies out in the streets like a November pogrom. It's all these crazy things tied into one HR because it's got 4 sixes. And if you don't read the actual words of this bill, you might believe it. But it's 646 words long. That's how many words are in this bill, 646. You can read it in 5 minutes. And if you look at it and you read every single word, vaccine's not in there. Not once. Neither is dragging your children out into the street. The only questionable thing in this bill is the word tracing. But they don't specify what tracing is. They don't give any kind of stipulations for that. So if some form of authoritarian tracing comes, it's going to be in a later bill. It's not going to be in this one. All this bill is for is to provide funding for underserved communities and rural areas. It's $100 billion allocated for underserved communities in rural areas. That's it. If you don't believe me, watch this video.
Sent us this post. It claims Congress introduced Bill HR 6666, which gives $100 billion to schools, churches, and medical buildings, with a catch. To receive the money, they have to agree to, quote, only allow people in their facilities that have the COVID-19 vaccination are tested and tracked. To start, HR 6666 is a real bill. Congress.gov shows that it was introduced to the House of Representatives on May 1st. So far, there have been no actions on it. So it is real, but we're verifying, does HR 6666 require people to get vaccinated for COVID-19? Our main source is the bill itself. HR 6666 is only 5 pages long. If passed, it would let the Secretary of Health and Human Services award grants to help with COVID-19 testing. Eligible groups include health centers, school health clinics, nonprofits, high schools, and more. The bill would set aside $100 billion for this purpose. So there's a nugget of truth in this claim. HR 6666 would have $100 billion to help these groups. But the link to vaccines is seemingly made up. There's not a single mention of vaccines in the text, period. The only requirements in the bill are that groups use the money for training, hiring, or purchasing medical equipment. That means we can verify the claim that HR 6666 would require people get vaccinated against COVID-19 is false.
Yeah, there's one, like I said, it's allocation of money. If the actual authoritarian, things start happening, that will be in a later bill. That will be later on when those things are acted. All this is the allocation of money to get testing to areas that can't get testing. They're underserved, like rural areas. All right. One of the cool things in this bill that I really thought was actually, honestly, a step in the right direction was applicants proposing to conduct activities funded under this section in hotspots and medically underserved communities. Applicants that agree in hiring individuals to carry out activities funded under this section to hire residents of the area or community where the activities will primarily occur with high priority among applicants in the described paragraph, given based on the percentage of individuals to be hired from such area. So what that's saying is they will give preferential funding to any group who wants to hire out of that community. If you want to, like you have one trainer and you want to hire 15 trainees from the impacted community, you get preferential treatment. So in a community that might be experiencing a lot of job loss due to an outbreak, they're providing a job. This is good stuff. Like this is potentially a good thing, and it's $100 billion in the right direction. Now, there is a lot of controversy that I saw in chat the other day. Did Tulsi sign it? Did she not sign it? She did. She did. Good on her. I'm going to say it now. Okay. Good on her.
All right.
That's Kit, Daniel.
Yeah, so
right,
I was just going to
go
say,
Dan.
when I heard you speak about this, all I got out of it was that there's 4 sixes, and there are 464 words, and I'm going to interpret that as, well, there's 4 in there, so that must refer to the 4 sixes that are in there. And that 6, if you just replace that 4 with the 6 and do some weird math that I can't think of right now, you have 666. I mean, this is a conspiracy. Here's the truth.
It's all numerology. It's absolutely all numerology.
Exactly. It's so right. But here's the thing, guys. The truth is that the bills that you have to worry about that have that kind of authoritarian bent to them, they're called things like the Patriot Act or something with freedom in it. They're not called something that sounds bad because that draws attention. They have some boring bureaucratic name. Those are the things you have to worry about. Those are the bills you got to worry about. This is just people being bored, I guess. This is people like, hey, my fear center hasn't had any work in the last couple of days. There's 4 sixes in a bill, and don't need to read it. Like I remember earlier today, John, when we were. When you brought up this bill, I was like, I was confused. I'm like, oh, is it? You're like, are you going to read it on air? And I'm like, oh, it's long. And so you're like, no, it's really short. So this is just a thing that people are hearing a headline. This actually ties right into a lot of what we know about how mainstream media clips and does their little clickbaity headlines. When you post a headline online, 80% of the people just read the headline, and then 20% read the article. This is one of those cases where if you can read this bill in like 5 minutes and you can go, oh, it's just a funding bill that does funding, kind of isn't even that big. It's just giving some money to people that need it. It might not be the best way to do it, but it's something. It's not like it's a 5,000-page tome. So,
yeah. All right, and that's a good note to end it on because, again, look, anything that has the word patriot or freedom, then you got to worry about it. In fact, hey, case in point, Patriot Act. But
Dude,
that being said,
yeah,
go ahead, John.
I hope there was a staffer. I like, it's my deep wish and desire that there's a staffer out there somewhere as he was compiling this and he had to put that designator on it. He was like, this will really like wind the right wingers up. Like, I really hope that was like it was an inside joke only he was in on, where he was like, oh, this will get him spun up.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the 6969 bill.
Oh, hey, wouldn't that be funny? Ha ha.